Good morning, traders. I love that song. Yeah, special memories for me because when I was on the road with the band, we were playing the same clubs as Frampton and Seeger back then. That's how long ago I was playing on the road. Anyway, great song, and hope you feel like I do. Got some rest, had a good time, and a nice dinner last night. So let's go here and take a look. Um, First, we need to look at where we came from, where we ended up, why, Hey, Mr. Kyle, I hope you can see my screens and hear me.
Screen is looking great and hear you loud and clear.
Thanks. Great overview. Anyway, so when we made this all-time high over here, we did it right on the Europe session, opened up during the US, and then we broke. So for the we had a little bit of a different experience, of course, in the ES because we made all-time highs and we kept on single time framing down until we finally got some traction. And the reason why it took a while before we really broke hard is the NASDAQ, of course, that this day, um, which was what was it? Today's Thursday, right? So it was Tuesday. Um, we had that big up day, $11 up, and Microsoft, a couple of big NAS stocks, kind of keeping the market from falling out of bed. But if we didn't have that, I felt like the market was going to have a big tank anyway, which it did. And that was pretty much a nice sell off to test that 51 or 5801 area, right? So after we spiked there, this was, a climax low, and then we started a single time frame, did a little bit of a, walk back to the breakout zone. So the overnight highs actually come in right around where that whole area uh, broke down. This retest after we opened back up and that failure started this move down. Now we're not out of the woods. There's a good chance that we could revisit lower today again. Right now we came back, we're up pretty good, but I don't know that we're going to be able to hold it. Let's see. The other reason why the market actually had a decent sell-off was on this day, we started the PAV reversal. This is where we reversed and we started this move down. Now you could see these aren't down, just down bars. These are the PAV reversal bars. Now this could just be another bull flag, possibly, you know. But yesterday we had all four indices together confirm the down move. Now, meanwhile, we've got these lower highs in the that we had in the momentum 310 oscillator there. As we were making new highs, we were making lower highs in the oscillator. We're still in a reversal sell, so we're not out of the woods. And but this very well could just be a retest into the pocket, which we did. Let's take a look at this here for a second. So this is kind of like the pocket where the market came back down, where we tried to do some sideways price overlap and balanced. And that's when we rallied from this pocket. So coming back down to it's just right now a test on the downside, but we're not out of the woods, like I said, yet. So let's just, today could be some two-way trading and could determine what the market's going to look like in the next 3 or 4 days. But I think today is going to be a little bit more of just some inside trading. We had a big day, um, as you could see, and we could come back down, do a little bit of a push back down to this pivot, which the pivot for me is 58.46. You could see right here, it's point of control. It's kind of where the market held up, right? But also where the market broke down. You can see these two levels, 30-minute lows, 30-minute highs. It's the bottom of this Asia value area. So it's going to be important on the downside. Meanwhile, on the upside, we take out the highs from yesterday, the U.S. session highs. They can pump them back up to this level. It's not just a kind of a high volume node area, but this was a big flip zone, right? That's 87, 88. So jury's not out yet. We'll see how that is going to pan out. Now, with that being said, this NAS had a different view. We didn't make new contract highs in the last 3 months, but we kind of tried to get up to this swing high. Couldn't do that. But on a side note, we did this price overlap until we took out these lows, and that's when the market really confirmed that we're going lower, right? Didn't get down to this inside pocket, and the pivot is right around 23 or 2,300 in the NAS. So we'll see. Today is going to be a inside day, I think, or at least a little two-way trading. Not super necessarily, do we have to fall out of bed, but we can come back down to the pivot, which just in the NAS is the 20 EMA, the daily EMA, where the daily EMA and the SPOOs, it's a little bit lower, right? All right, let's go on to the next chart here. Take a look at this crude. I think the crude now is holding up pretty well. We had this balanced area where the pool is. You could see kept on spiking below it. Had one day where we traded below it, came right back in it. We pretty much had equal swings below that pool here, right? And above. So for the time being, again, this isn't confirmed that we're going to maintain an up move, but we're out of the woods. So for the most part, because we've closed we had two closes actually above this area. So my pivot comes in right above the pool, if you want to call it sideways price overlap, coil, whatever. It comes in at 70, 72, call it 70, 70, which is the point of control also from the US session as well. So that should be pretty important today, over under. If they get back below that, then we come back in here and do a little work. But I'm more in the camp we are going back to test either the US session highs or this overnight highs, right around that 72.30-ish area. But I'm a little bit friendly to this crude, and I think we can get it test back up before we take out, test below the pivot. That's what it's looking like as of now. And then this gold was on a tear to the upside, right? Just kept making new contract highs, single time framing, but this was a bit of a bull trap, right? Kept on making higher highs, doing a little balancing act, rallying, little balancing, and then boom, we get this take no prisoners rally making new contract highs. But when we did this new contract highs during the overnight session, usually the US session, will come in and test it, but we failed to test that high. And then, of course, yesterday we got below the previous US session high, and that started this move down, right? So everything was right on the board yesterday. We had the EC, the currencies, we had the bonds, we had the crude. It was just a free-for-all. And don't forget that in the indices, if you have a good sell-off in the gold and the crude, which you had it in silver and you had it, as far as the other metal stocks or commodities and energy commodities, that reflects also some pressure in the indices because we had energy stocks selling off, we had metal stocks selling off, and they represent between 10 and 11% of the S&P. So you have all that, throw the kitchen sink, and that's why we broke. Now, interesting enough, this was this gap here that we had, right? And that was from Thursday's high to Friday's low. So we did not get back into that gap, but we took out 2 days of U.S. session lows. So now the pivot, I think, is going to be important. 27.55 to 56 came up this morning and kind of tried to test it. We're not done. We have a small range. I'm sure we'll open it up, but we'll see if they want to first test the pivot, or do they want to take out the U.S. session lows? We're certainly not going to keep this range. It's early, so we'll see which way they want to bang it out. But I will say, I'm favoring that they come in and do a little work in the cave, because we came down pretty hard and fast here, and we have a little bit of a cave here from the U.S. session. So this area, and we have a cave in the overnight session. So we might have to do a little structural work, come back down into it. So I'm favoring that we hold the pivot and we do back off a little. After all, we've been making new contract highs for quite a while. And this, just from this level here, from the 10th, even this month, right? We've had $160 rally in this gold. So, a little coming back to reality is probably in the cards, at least for the morning. Okay. All right. This EC may be searching for a bottom, but I don't get too cute and try to call a bottom. You could look for a little pop, but I think tomorrow you'll see a better sign based on what we do today of which way they're going to go, if they're going to try to catch a bottom or not. Now, when you look at it on a daily chart, you can see it. It's pretty bad, right? This was the sell signal when we got below the 30 low. That was the PAV reversal. And of course, when you have all of these averages pretty big, all four of them pointing down, that just shows you that the momentum is going to be pretty reasonable. And we have not had a PAV reversal yet. We're trying to defend this bottom, which, by the way, a lot of price overlap that we spent there. So that acts as some pretty good support, right? If I drag it over, oops, let me do a better job. I think I had too much coffee. I don't know. So you drag it over, we came right in the middle of this. Now, it's possible that we're trying to put in a little bottom, but you really haven't had one green bar up, and that's not an up bar because this was an up bar, and we have a handful of up bars, but we're still in a sell signal, and I have not had a buy yet. Now, tomorrow, depending on today's action, will be a really key look under the hood, if you want to call it, and see if we do have a bottom or not. Now, looking at this morning, we opened up higher, came in, filled the gap. That was constructive, which now we could try to pop, and I do feel we are going to rally, but you don't want to get sucker punched. You can be looking for a little bit of a rally, but I wouldn't get, necessarily too married to the upside, at least today, but I think we'll catch a bit of a rally and test the overnight highs. Okay. We tested this previous U.S. session high, and now we're probably going to test the overnight highs coming up pretty soon. So that 108.31 could get a test. Now the pivot for me is at the bottom of this ledge here, the top of the value area, and where kind of these single prints come in. And I don't think we're going to get down there. That comes in at 108.04. That's just such a big area. So we'll see what happens with the, but I'm a little friendly, at least now, in this in the EC. Now, I've been calling for a sell-off for the last month in this the bonds. I had a lot of grief for calling it, but it did come to play. You can see how far we've broken. This was just a little bear flag, and just another test lower, but we are close to some pretty good support. In fact, this may be a good short-term low, similar to the EC, but you can see we're hugging the pivot, which is going to be kind of a flip zone. It's the point of control from this overnight session, the top of the value area here, this low, kind of where we peaked above here, but respected this area. So far the low's holding, which is the pivot right around 108.08 to 108.09. I say that fast. That's not easy, right? Okay, so that's it. I think let's watch the test again. Very similar to the EC. Do not like calling a bottom unless you really have a good reason to, and there's not a good reason yet to say that there's a bottom. Could we go higher? Yes, we could probably go and possibly eat into this tail a little bit and test this overnight high. But the market's still in trouble, and we're still in a downtrend. So that's how that looks. All right, let's get ready for the opening. We got 10 minutes. I'll bring up my let's just bring up this booze here in the NAS. And you can see what's going on here as we're speaking. Crude's, or the gold is just trying to get up here, but I think they're going to have a little trouble getting above 56, 57. We're respecting the opening price here in the crude at 71.09. At the moment, call it 71.05-ish to 10. And this was a quick spike. The number wasn't necessarily anything major, but you could say we're probably going to try to back off a little bit. Currently, this level here that we have, right? You see the green? That's the point of control of the Europe session. So yeah, we get back below 61, 62. You start to come in and fill in some of these single prints. So today will be a interesting day, probably a little inside trading from the previous U.S. session, but range, which of course that kind of range is kind of hard to duplicate the next day. Usually after a big move like this, we'll get back into the middle and do some two-way trading. All right, let's rock and roll. It's Thursday, and let's put some numbers on the board today and get some good trades in. I'm going to put the ES and the NAS up for a second here. I'll keep this so we can keep an eye on it. And I'm leaving this expanded out just for the opening because it's good to see what the 30-minute did on the U.S. session. Gives you a little bit more confidence of these levels. All right. I'm right here, getting some coffee, ready to rock.